What's going on, YouTube? I'm the Mind Fllayer Slayer.
And I'm Dr. DM, and here we have our deck tag for Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier.
Also known as Hair So Luscious, You'll Sacrifice Yourself.
Honestly, yeah, and if you're not Aerith, well, you're gonna have to sacrifice yourself anyway, because that's what this deck is built around.
Yes,
Sacking creatures and doing a lot of pings, boom, 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 and basically win the game very quickly, very oppressively. This is definitely a tier 4 deck. If you're going up against other creature strategies, they have no shot. So make sure you know, and your table knows what they're getting into when you're playing this commander, especially at a decently high power level. Okay, let's talk about Sephiroth. Whenever Sephiroth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Great, so as he comes in, immediately has value stable to him. You can sack a creature, and we have a lot of creatures that have effects that when they're sacrificed, other crazy things happen, including your opponent sacrificing their own creatures. You draw the card, and whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life, so here becomes the ping machine. If this is the 4th time the ability has resolved this turn, transform Sephiroth! And what happens when we transforms?
He becomes Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel. Sephiroth. With Flying Supernova. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel, you can get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. That cannot be interacted with. It's there forever. Good luck.
And if it comes down to it, someone kills the backside of this, and you replay Sephiroth. I had that too. I created 2 emblems, and then you were just like, wow, the ping machines don't stop.
And whenever Sephiroth attacks, you can sacrifice any number of other creatures if you do draw that many cards.
Yeah.
Again, card draw. This is, in my opinion, the new best Aristocrats commander. I mean, obviously it's only in 1 color, so that's a little bit limiting, but whoo, it's strong.
And if you're playing in a 4-person pod, you can easily flip it. I think I turned it with a Soul Ring turn 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so easy to flip, and just, at that point, it's all downhill for your opponents. So let's talk about the creatures that come into the board, and then will probably be sacrificed for the sake of pinging your opponents out.
So, Bloodsoaked Champion is a cheap creature that goes into the yard, you can sacrifice it, and then you can bring it back to sacrifice it again in the future if you attack. You will be attacking.
Yes. And then we have Forsaken Miner. This is an amazing one, actually, because it just comes back and back. Whenever you commit a crime, you know who you are, Crime Lord. You can pay 1 black. If you do, return this card, so then Sephiroth will be sacking him, getting value, and then you bring him right back all the time because you are pinging with Sephiroth, which is a crime.
Very infinite loop potential.
Yeah, and your table is going to call you a Crime Lord for doing this.
Absolutely. Gravecrawler, again, part of the infinite loop. Whenever you get a zombie on the board, you can sack this, and you can cast him from the graveyard whenever you have a zombie. It just loops infinitely with, like, Worn Soul Trader.
And Viscera Seer, you can sacrifice a creature. It's good to have other sack outlets for Sephiroth, and you can scry, get stuff in your graveyard. Great value card.
Accursed Marauder is going to drop down, and it's an Edict effect that allows everyone to sacrifice a creature. That can flip Sephiroth right away.
Oh, that's right, because that's 4 creatures, right? You can sacrifice your and 3 opponents, instant flip. Oh, very nice. And Blood Artist, whenever this creature or another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. I mean, I think I ended up I don't even know how much life I had at the end of the game. Yeah, and you're just pinging out. Very fun. And of course, Blood Artist is a crucial piece to most of these Luscious decks.
Bloodghast is going to allow you to reanimate it from the graveyard whenever you play a land. Again, this is a great sack outlet.
And Dothy Voidwalker, this is a surprisingly useful piece for Sephiroth. If a card we put into opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you can exile, and that'll happen because you have those Edict effects, right? Sacrificing your creatures and the opponent's creatures as well. And you can tap this guy to sack a creature, which is a good way to make sure you get the 4 sacks you need for Sephiroth's transformation, and also ping your opponents. And then you can choose a card that's been exiled with a void counter, and you can play it and then maybe sacrifice it later.
Yes, indeed. Jar-Ghoul Caller of Nephalia. This is just going to let you create little dudes all the time, and you'll be able to sacrifice them.
And they auto-sack when they attack, I think, as well, right?
Indeed they do.
Yeah, awesome. Marionette Apprentice. This has Fabricate, and the best part about this is attacks whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into the graveyard. It's going to happen a lot. Lots of sacrifice effects. Then each opponent loses 1 life, so you are just like rapid fire, machine gun, pinging
killing him as fast as possible.
Incredible.
Orzhov Enforcer, again, this is going to create another little dude. When he dies, he's great sack fodder, and then you've got another little dude to be sack fodder. You're just killing dudes with this thing. Little dudes, killing them all.
Yeah, and Reassembling Skeleton returns from the graveyard to battlefield, so sack outlets.
Yep. Avenger of the Fallen is also very good because you can mobilize X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You're going to have a lot of those. Whenever this creature attacks, you will create X tapped and attacking 1/1 red creature warrior tokens, and then sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Again, this is an immediate Sephiroth flip in a lot of cases.
Incredible, yeah, for only 3 mana. And you can also sacrifice tokens before they die as well if you need to do that for whatever reason.
Correct.
Braids, Arisen Nightmare. Oh, Braids is fantastic,
So good.
always. At the beginning of your end step, you can sacrifice artifact, creature, enchantment, lands, or planeswalkers to maybe flip Sephiroth, who's on the board. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent of their choice, and if not, guess what? They lose 2 life, and you draw more cards to get more sack.
Fun fact, this deck actually started off as a Braids deck in the command zone, but as soon as Sephiroth came out, I went, well, that's the obvious choice.
Yeah, and he's way hotter.
Yeah.
Then we have Fleshbag Marauder. When he ETBs, each player sacrifices creature of their choice. So again, if at least 2 of your opponents are playing creature strategies, Sephiroth is flip easy.
Gravelighter, this was crazy in our game. You talk about this one.
So when the creature enters, draw a card for creature died this turn. Otherwise, each player sacrifices a creature of their choice. So if you already have some mana up, right, and you're playing your Edict sack effects, or you're sacking your own creatures, then you put Gravelighter in afterwards, and then you draw cards based on what happened. And if you have like a Feigned Death equivalent, this comes back a couple times, and you're like filling up your hand for the win.
Up next, we have Merciless Executioner. Again, when it enters, each player sacrifices a creature, another Edict effect.
Yeah, and you have, well, you think sometimes Edict effects aren't super great in Commander because they can choose to sacrifice like a little token or weenie. Well, it doesn't really matter that much because A, you are flipping Sephiroth and getting the emblem, which you want to do ASAP. And otherwise, you have so many sack effects that eventually you're going to get to the good cards, honestly. That's what I've noticed anyway.
Morbid Opportunist, whenever 1 or more other creatures die, draw a card. It's only once per turn, but still very good. Gotta have that card draw.
Then Ophiomancer, beginning of your upkeep, if you control no snakes, you create a 1/1 snake creature token with Death Touch. Death Touch doesn't really matter, but guess what? It's a token you can sacrifice.
Pawn of Ulamog, again, whenever this creature or another non-token creature you control dies, you may create a 0/1 Eldrazi colorless creature token that has sacrifices token, add 1 mana. So you can sacrifice it itself, you can sacrifice it off of Sephiroth if you need to, whatever you gotta do, this is a great card for the deck.
And we have Plaguecrafter. When this creature enters, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker of their choice. Otherwise, they discard a card, so sack.
Warren Soul Trader, again, this is a great part of the infinite combos. You pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. So it's very, very easy to loop with this card.
Woestrider, this is a classic. This creature enters, you create that goat creature. Woestrider itself can sacrifice other creatures to then scry, and of course can escape from the graveyard if you needed to.
Chain Devil is another great way to make everybody sacrifice creatures.
Locust Heavy Destroyer, same kind of thing. This creature enters, each player sacks a creature of their choice, Edict effect.
And it's got Unearth, so you can do it again! Pitiless Plunderer is going to allow you to create a ton of treasure tokens because you're going to be sacrificing a ton of things. It's so busted.
Next we have Drivnod, Carnage Dominus.
Oh.
If a creature dying causes a trigger ability of permanent you control to trigger, such as Sephiroth or really many other ping effects, that ability triggers a second additional time. Wow. That's all I have to say, just wow.
So it's important to know this will not trigger off of the emblem because an emblem is not considered a permanent, but it's still very, 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 very good.
Yeah, because there's so many ping effects. Then we have Endrixar, Master Breeder. Whenever you cast a spell, you create creature tokens, which then you can sack, of course.
It's so good. Sir Conrad the Grim, you're going to be making lots of things die. You're going to be making things go to the graveyard. When things die and go to the graveyard, you're going to be pinging your opponents. It's very easy to drain them to death.
And the Great Unclean One. This has the beginning of your end step. Each opponent loses 2 life, which is great because you're already pinging out everybody. And then for each opponent who has less life than you, which is going to be pretty much everybody, usually. Then you create a 1/3 demon creature, which can either just chump block or then is sack fodder in future turns.
Zodiark Umbil-God. It has Indestructible, and when it enters, each player sacrifices half the non-god creatures they control of their choice, rounded down.
Instant flip.
Yep, super flip.
And having an indestructible creature is just nice.
Yeah.
This is Emmet Selk, an Ascian from Final Fantasy XIV. Interesting, you can play with Phyrexian mana. I actually got him out pretty early.
Yeah.
And then he has a lifelink to kind of offset, early aggressive plays from your opponents if you need to. Otherwise, you can just kind of sack him.
Innocent Blood is just everybody sacrifices a creature for 1 mana.
Woo!
Reanimate. You're going to have a lot of things in the graveyard. You might want to reanimate them.
And in addition, Sephiroth goes down. Instead of paying the commander cost, you can maybe do this.
You're
too.
darn right.
Then Unearth, return to a creature card with mana value 3 or less. There's lots of those. And guess what they're going to be?
Sephiroth!
Yeah.
Toxic Deluge. Incredible board wipe. What can I say?
And Victimize, a great way to make sure you have some extra recursion to get creatures back that have been sacrificed. And also you sacrifice as a value.
Correct.
As a cost.
Mutilate. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for every swamp you control. It's mono black. You're gonna crack face with this.
Rankle's Prank, I remember adding this was pretty good. Choose one or more. Remember, you could choose all 3 if you want to. Each player discards 2 cards. Each player loses 2 life, and each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Wow! The amount of redundancy here to get those sacks, to get Sephiroth to flip. I mean, your opponents that are playing any kind of creature strategy are quaking in their boots when you pull
It's
out.
4 mana.
Incredible.
Gix's Command, another way that you can get +1/+1 counters on creatures. You can destroy each creature with power 2 or less. You can return cards from the graveyard, or you can have each opponent sacrifice a creature. Again, this is chock full of Edict effects because they are so good.
Living Death, each player exiles all creatures from the graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control, then puts all the cards exiled onto the battlefield. So make sure you're playing around this or paying attention to when you use it. It could backfire on you, not typically, but it's a great one for getting the sacks.
Plague Wind, destroy all creatures you don't control. They can't be regenerated.
This is awesome, yeah.
It's
good. 9 mana, but I mean, the one-sided board wipe is
so
crazy.
Good. Dark Ritual, what can we say?
Yeah, awesome.
Malakir Rebirth is up next. This is a MDFC. It's also going to allow you to bring a creature back that's going to die this turn, so good protection for Sephiroth.
Very nice. Deadly Dispute, this is a classic. You can sack a creature or an artifact to draw cards and create a treasure token as well to ramp up a little bit.
Imp's Mischief, you use this against us. It was very powerful to change the target of spells to protect Sephiroth.
Oh yeah, that's right. I changed a counterspell actually. Very cool. Shieldred's Edict. This is an awesome edict effect that has many, many modes here, including sacrifice opponent's creatures.
Soul Shatter, again, is the same way. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the greatest mana value among them that they control.
That's great. That's a good way to hit their
Big
hard
ones.
hitters, yeah. This is MDFC as well. Felder Profane. You can swamp or target creatures.
Flare of Malice is just essentially a Soul Shatter, but you can sacrifice a non-token black creature rather than pay for the spell's mana cost.
And Skull Clamp, this is incredible. You equip creatures gets +1/-1, and when it dies, which it'll be dying a lot, you do draw 2 cards. Super cheap equipment cost, so get this on all the creatures before you sack them.
Soul Ring,
Arcane Signet.
Genesis Chamber, which creates a bunch of little guys that you can sack, including guys for your opponents, because if you're playing against like a VV deck that doesn't have a lot of creatures, you need people to have creatures to sacrifice.
Whoa, that's great. A Jet Medallion, it's mono black, so this is actually a very good piece to have. Everything costs 1 less to cast. And Swiftfoot Boots, great protection for your commander, Sephiroth. And Ashnod's Altar, great way to ramp up your mana. This is incredible mana ramping.
Yeah, it's beyond powerful.
And at the same time, making sure you get those 4 sacks for Sephiroth. And the Masamune, this is Sephiroth's swords, of course, he equips, and when that happens, if a creature dying causes a trigger ability of this creature or emblem you own to trigger. So in this case, it is Emblem.
Yep.
It triggers twice, so you're then shooting for 2 and then healing for 2 as well. So in other formats, this isn't a very good equipment for this deck specifically.
So good.
Incredible. So make sure you get that on Sephiroth and protect Sephiroth as well.
Scepter of Eternal Glory. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color, and then you can add 3 mana of any color if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. Mono black.
The Darkness Crystal, this is surprisingly one of the better crystals here. Black spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, which is good. All your black spells and creatures. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, you exile it, you gain life, so you're gaining more life and paying. And you can tap it and pay 6 mana, put a creature card exiled with the Darkness Crystal onto the battlefield tapped under control. And that could be an opponent's creatures, right, that you have sacked with its edict effects, and now it's yours.
Bitter Blossom. It's an enchantment that's going to give you infinite little dudes.
Little dudes to sack. Custodian Nightmare, this card's hilarious. It uses the energy counters to kind of bounce it back to your hands. You sacrifice creatures with it. It's a good creature outlet, and you're kind of bringing stuff back from the graveyard. It's a perpetual, endless loop of unfun for your opponents.
Dreadhorde Invasion, again, is going to get a lot of little dudes for you. It has some life loss, but it's worth it for the little dudes.
Little dudes a deck. Then the Civ 6 Ceremony. Creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Wow, sometimes you're just paying like mono black for some of these
Pretty
little
much.
weenies. Whenever a creature you control enters, if you cast it, destroy it automatically, then create a 2/2. And then, of course, in response to that trigger, you can sacrifice those creatures as well.
Correct. Grey Pact. This card is insane.
This is insane.
Everyone will hate you.
As soon as you play and you sacrifice your creature, then they're sacrificing their creatures. If this isn't, removed very quickly, it will take over the game, like basically that same turn.
Tombstone Stairwell has a cumulative upkeep. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can put an age counter on a permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it.
Which you won't.
At the beginning of each upkeep, if an enchantment is on the battlefield, each player creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token with haste named Toonspawn for each creature card in their graveyard. At the beginning of each end step, when this enchantment leaves the battlefield, destroy all tokens created with this enchantment. They can't be regenerated.
That's awesome. Good way, if they're not playing creature strategies, to make sure they have creatures.
It's really good.
About. That's fun. And then we've reached the end of our deck tech. Of course, there are lands. You're welcome to go and check out our Moxfield link for this, created by the Mind Flayer Slayer himself. You can substitute any lands you want, which whatever you have at your disposal or available.
This deck has the potential to be expensive, but again, you can make it much cheaper. A lot of this stuff is just little guys. So, and some of them have gone up because of the release of Sephiroth, but they'll come dropping down pretty quickly. So definitely feel free to look at the alternatives we were considering for building the deck in the Moxfield link as well. And let us know what you think, what you like, what you dislike. It's very powerful. Be very careful. This is not a casual deck. It is a very high power 4 deck.
Yeah, it's going to shut down a lot of your opponent's strategies if they're based at all in any kind of creature stuff. So your table may not love you for playing this, but it is fun. And if you just want to kick some ass and do something very unique and play Sephiroth, the best antagonist in all Final Fantasy history, this is a deck for you. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to see us build any other decks, let us know. We might be able to get to it.
We'll see you next time.